to lead this ministry on earth. I co-pastor with him. We call him Pastor Dr. Noel Richards. Some call him Professor. Some call him Pastor Richards. Some even call him Brother Noel. We are not caught up on titles, but we recognize that he has a doctorate, and so we give honor to God for that. Every time we say Dr. Richards, we are saying thank you, Lord, for where you have educated him in your word. Amen. So God bless you tonight, Dr. Richards, and we give over the rest of the night into your hands as we get excited to hear from the word of God. God bless you, Doc. We love you. Thank you for serving the Lord, making yourself available. God bless you.
Prophetess, thank you. Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone, all the elders, ministers, every family member. And if you, I think we have somebody new on tonight. Good evening to you. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Usually, ministry, the first half would be done by Prophetess, and then I would come on for the later portion. I can't say the later half, the later portion. Tonight, I'm going to be doing the ministering, although she has ministered already, but I'm going to be doing the ministering tonight. We want to continue with the topic that we have been talking about. And just to refresh your memory, the last thing we talk about, now we are doing the Sermon on the Mount, just to take you back a little bit. And the last verse that we pulled from the scripture, Jesus was saying, you have heard that it said of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you, that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery in his heart. And so we're talking about this thing about marriage and adultery and sex. And it's the taboo word, because when I was growing up, I couldn't even say the word sex. It seems so, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't utter those words. There are two words that I couldn't say when I was growing up. I felt that I couldn't say those words at all. That was sex and the word pregnant. That seemed to me like a word that should not come out of my mouth, those two words. And I know a lot of people feel the same way, not so much about the word pregnant. That was me personally. But this thing called sex seems to be very, very taboo. We don't talk about it. We don't discuss it. But can I tell you, as a pastor, as a counselor, this is one of the greatest issues and hindrances in marriage, this thing called sex. Can I tell you that this thing called sex has caused more havoc in the world than most other things? This thing called sex has brought men down, great men, powerful men. Men in the Bible like Samson and men that we know. So we're going to understand. Can I tell you that your children know about sex much more than you have told them? Have you had that talk with your children as yet? We used to call it the birds and the bees. It's more than that now. I recall many, many years ago, I was on air, and it was a Friday night. I remember clearly. And there was this program going on, and two of the people who were there live in studio, there were three of them. One is a pastor, and the other two came with him, and they did the program on Friday night. And they started to talk about what was going on in school and whatnot. And the woman, the female, she said right on the platform on air, maybe some of you might recall if you would have been listening in those days. She's a primary school teacher. And she was telling you in her school that the children were involved in sexual intercourse, not just involved in sexual intercourse, but they were charging for sex, the young ladies, in a primary school. So children, a lot of children, and especially now with the advent of social media and the internet, where you can have access, you have free access to sexual information and anything you want concerning sex and pornography and all these things. Children, anybody with a device can get it. So what I'm saying to you, if we don't want to talk about it, we are way behind. We will remain behind. Our children will run ahead of us. How can we guide our children if we refuse to talk about it? And we need to talk about this openly. We need to talk about this thing that is destroying the world. So let's continue to talk about it. The last thing we did, last question we asked is, why do women withhold sex from their husband? Why do wives withhold sex from their husband? Now, we're only discussing it in the context of a husband and wife because we believe that the only two people that are authorized by God to have sex are people who are married. A man and his wife, a woman and her husband. We believe that. It said so in Genesis, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they two shall become one flesh. That's the covering, and that is what tells us that sex is supposed to be a man and his wife. So we are talking about things in context of marriage. So we are asking the question, why do women withhold sex? And some of the things we put forward. And as I go, I want to say this. I want this to be interactive, please. The Bible says, let the older woman teach the younger woman. There are people here, and I don't want to call you old. You are just older than the younger ones. And you, because you have lived and you are living the life of a married woman, a wife, and because of experiences that you would have had over the years, you can teach us, teach the younger ones, teach the men. Help us, help me to teach. There are things that I could only tell you based on what I have known and what I've learned and what I've researched, but you can tell us things based on your experience, what you have lived. So I really want you to get interactive. And if I say something and you say, no, that's not true, feel free to stop me. Feel free to stop me. Want the ladies, please, especially, men too, if you feel that you have an input, you want to make an input or ask a question, please feel free. So we asked, why do women withhold sex from their husband? And we said, because of life circumstances, they're doing so much. They're working hard, they're going to work. Long time, women used to stay home, take care of the house. Now they're working too. And they're working in jobs where they're physically and mentally drained at the end of the day. And they have to see about children, and they have to see about breakfast and lunch and dinner and all these things. So sex is the last thing on their mind. It's not even there. And something, you want to know when your husband brings up the topic of sex, it's like a shock to you. And one of the first things women say to men is, that's the only thing on your mind. That's all you're thinking about. But it's not the only thing on his mind, ladies, let me tell you. A man is built with that urge and that need for sex. Women too. But you see, things get in the way of that. Not for a man. A man could push aside everything. Whether he's angry, frustrated, tired, a man could put that aside to have sex. That's just the way God made us. I see it in the animals as well. I told you I love to watch all these animals in the wild. I see it in the animals. The male is always ready. The female have to be in heat for them to be ready for sex. So life circumstances is one of the reasons why women withhold sex. We talked about diabetes. Diabetes affects a woman's sexual health. Her desire for sex is reduced when she has diabetes. And she has what is called vaginal dryness, because in that area for sexual penetration, it must be moist. And when she's dry, there's a decreased desire for sex, and the sex is painful. So it's difficult for her to be aroused, and it's difficult for her even come to that point of climax. Then we talked, what else we talked about? We talk about prescription medication, including depression medicines, affects a woman. We talked about surgeries. Someone undergo surgeries related to breast and the genital tract that causes problems too. We talk about changes in their hormones when they go through menopause. And that's something we need to talk some more about because men don't understand that. Men, women put men on pause during menopause, and men don't understand that pause at all. And we need to talk about that some more. We need to talk about menopause and andropause, but women go through hormonal changes during menopause, even during pregnancy and during breastfeeding. We talked about the fact that some women just don't like sex. And the reason for that is because they might have had a history of sexual trauma. They maybe were raped or abused in some way sexually. And because of that, it's a psychological thing now. They just don't like sex because sex reminds them of being abused, being taken advantage of. Again, let me put in a plug here. That is why it's important to have premarital counseling because we talk about all these things. We bring up your family of origin. We talk about what happened when you were growing up. Who were the people that you interacted with? Then we also said that some women don't have sex. They can't have sex unless the conditions are right. If the house is in a mess, no sex. If they just come home from work, no, I need to go and take a bath. I need to clean up. Or this is not the bedroom. We could only have sex in the bedroom, or we could only have sex in the night. And we understand, and I think it was Minister Bernadette was talking about, it's in the, when you have children, it is not that easy. And we understand that. We're not telling you to have sexual intercourse when your children are there and they can hear you. I don't think that's a good place to be and a good thing to do. But as a husband and wife, you have to find innovative ways of having, of being intimate without your children knowing that you're being intimate. I can't tell you what to do. I could tell you privately and personally if you ask me. But I mean, you have to know. One of the things that I would advise people to, if you're building a house, if you are building, I don't know how many of us have our own homes, try to make your master bedroom soundproof. There are ways to do that. Make it soundproof so that when you go in there, whatever happens there, nobody, no children, nobody knows what is going on the inside. Then we also said the selfishness of their husbands is why some women don't want to have sex. Because he only wants to satisfy himself, and Prophetess talked a lot about that, about sex being, woman-oriented. Not everybody would agree with that, but she says once you satisfy the woman, then you will be satisfied yourself. I have to tell you that there are some women who only want to satisfy themselves as well. But what she was saying is that the sexual act, if you place emphasis, men, on satisfying your wife, there's nothing that she would not do. Because we have to understand that sex to a woman is love. You love me, my having sex with you says I love you. For a man, sex is sex, It's for satisfaction and gratification. So a woman will give in to her husband and release herself to her husband if her husband treats her well, if he's not selfish. She's willing to yield. She's willing to give in to him. She's willing to say, yes, here I am. My body is yours. But some men only want to satisfy themselves. They go, slam, bam, thank you, man, is what they say. He satisfies himself and he doesn't care about whether his wife is satisfied or not. And I want to tell you, men, it's important. You see this thing called foreplay? And it's not the number 4, it's F-O-R-E. It means before. It is important to bring a woman to a place where intimacy is something that is pleasing to her and she wants it. And that is why foreplay is important. It gives you a chance to explore each other. It gives you a chance to to learn each other and to speak to each other and tell the person what you want done and how you want it done. Your husband, remember we're talking about husband and wife here. So foreplay is important. It's not just about jumping on your wife and satisfying yourself. And that is why some women do not want to have sex, because they just don't enjoy it. They don't get a chance to enjoy it. Some women hardly ever experience an orgasm because the man goes satisfy himself, and when she's now ready to begin, he's done, he's finished. So women find no pleasure. Some women find no pleasure in having sex with their husband because of his selfishness. And then there are some men who look at porn and they want their wives to be a porn star in bed and do things that they see on the screen. And again, it was all about him and satisfying himself. They want to do things, and remember these porn stars, they are paid to do these things. They are paid to get you excited. They are paid. A lot of them may not even enjoy what they do, but they're paid that, and you fall into that trap, and you think that's how sex is supposed to be. But their sex is only physical. It's visual. You watching and you're getting turned on, and then you want to go and do that with your wife, and that's selfishness. You can't fall. And I'll tell you something about when a husband and his wife is having sex. Remember, the scripture talks about the bed is undefiled, marriage is honorable, and the bed is undefiled. And people take that to mean that you can do anything, in bed behind closed doors. And I want to tell you, I do not subscribe to that. Not wholly, no. Whatever is done behind closed doors must be pleasing to God. And there are things, and I'll tell you one for sure. You see, and we've talked about it before. Anal sex is not something that has been sanctioned by God. And you cannot say, well, we like it and we're doing it. Because even the sexual act, I want to tell you, no, is a form of worship unto God. Because it means that you are fulfilling something that he has designed for you to fulfill to satisfy each other. Not just for procreation, not just to have children, but for mutual satisfaction. So this thing about whatever we do behind closed doors is wrong. And secondly, if you're doing something, if you engage in some sort of in sexual relation, let me just put it that way, both parties must be satisfied. Sometimes one of them, mainly the man, wants to be adventurous and he wants to try this and he wants to try that position and he wants to all kind of thing because he's seen on the screen or he's heard his male partners talk about this is what I did to her and he wants to try to. If your wife says, I am not comfortable with this, I do not want to do that, then you don't do it. Then you don't do it. And if in your mind what you are doing is normal and natural and your wife has a problem with it, that's the time you'll seek counsel. You have to take it out of the bedroom now and come before a counselor. Let's talk about this because I want to do this. She doesn't want to do it. What do we do? And you talk it through. But you see, a lot of people don't want to talk about the three-letter word sex to anybody. Even now, some people might be cringing that we are talking about this so openly. But we have to talk about it. And so if you're having issues in the bedroom, if you're having issues in your relationship, then you need to seek an intervention. You need, and I'm not talking about going by a friend. We're not talking about that. We're talking about someone who is qualified to listen to you and give you godly counsel, godly advice. And I'm not saying, and hear me well, and don't hear what I'm not saying that person is your pastor. Because not every pastor is equipped to counsel about sex, and not every pastor is even equipped to counsel. Sad to say. But there are people in your congregation, I'm sure, who, and I'm hoping that pastors are man enough and woman enough to say, hey, listen, I want you to talk to brother so-and-so, or you talk to elder this, and you say to them as a pastor, listen, I want you to be a part of the counseling team. I want you to be a reference. I can refer people to you. How many pastors can do that? Prophetess and I refer people to our elders. We do, because we know what God has placed in them. So I'm saying to you, if you're a pastor out there and you're listening to me, you're not qualified to do everything. Not because you're the pastor, they have to come to me to talk about. No, that's selfishness. If you are qualified, fine. And then there are some congregations where they have Christian professionals in the congregation. We have Christian psychologists and psychiatrists, and they may be part of your congregation. Why not refer people to them? And I'm saying to your husband and wife as well, if it is that you're having issues and you're having problems, you may need to seek professional help. You may need to go to a professional counselor, and I want to suggest a Christian counselor. And there are those, and if you are listening to me now and you want to know if there are Christian counselors around, I could refer you to a couple of them. You could just reach out to the ministry and I will give you their names. You have to pay, just to let you know, because that's your profession. But if it is that you are having issues, I'm not just talking about sexual issues, but issues in your marriage, and you need counsel, professional counsel, reach out. We do counseling. Prophetess and I do counseling in this ministry. Many of you know we are counseling you all. So what I'm saying is seek help. Look for help. Look for help. All right? So the other thing is male hygiene. Some men, you're sweaty and you want to have sex with your wife. You're always sweating. You don't brush your teeth properly. You don't use mouthwash. And, and it's a turn off for your wife. But you want to go in bed with her. Remember when you are having sexual relations, you're exchanging bodily fluid. How could your wife have sex with you when you're smelling, like that? Or your mouth is like that? I'm sorry, and I'm saying it as it is. We have to understand, and that's for both male and female. Some men will tell you, I don't mind, I don't care. In fact, I prefer it this way. Don't go and bathe. There are some men. But so if she's not comfortable with that, then allow her to get to that place of comfort. So lack of male hygiene is part of the problem. And also, and this one is something that I've heard women complain about. The women talk about it. Lack of your husband's sexual skill. He doesn't know. Now, it's important when people are getting married, God in his wisdom says no sex before marriage. So when they get married, you have two virgins coming together and you explore and you learn together. But some people, they have had experiences, a whole lot of experience before they come together. So both parties may not be at the same level in terms of the experience. And sometimes a woman is more experienced than her husband. And because of that, there are certain things that she expects of her husband that he's not able to do. He doesn't know what to do. And I'm saying in cases like that woman, you have to guide your husband. You have to talk to him. And if it is your husband is doing something or doing things that, as far as you're concerned, this is not how it is done, you can educate your husband. Now, I know there are some men, because they listen to other men and because they watch pornography or they watch the internet or whatever they do, whatever research they do, they feel they know it all. And I'm saying to you, men, listen to your wife. As Prophetess was saying, if you satisfy her, sex will be great. Listen to your wife. Up to today, I was having a conversation with First Lady. I'm not going to tell you the details of the conversation. It was a private. But that's one thing she was telling me. She said, if I didn't teach you certain things, you wouldn't know. Said that to me. Said, if I didn't take it upon myself to do this and do that, you wouldn't know. And she's right. She's absolutely right. So, woman, take time to teach your husband, and husband, be man enough, be humble enough. It works out better for you in the end. The woman says, I have a whole body, not just a hole in my body, because men concentrate on just one area. She has a whole body. And let her tell you what to do with that body, which the Bible says belongs to you. So if your body belongs to you, or you have authority over the body, then treat it right. Treat it right. Yes? So as we continue, and in fact, let me pause here. Is there anything you'd want to add, ladies or gentlemen? As I told you, I want you all to be interactive. We'll take our time and go through this. We have to take a month or 2 months or the rest of the year, because too many marriages are in trouble because we don't talk about these things. Anybody has anything to add? All the married women here and the married men? The unmarried, you don't have any question to ask? Are we good? All right. Well, in the absence of anything, I'll move on. I don't know if Joshua is...
You're saying that one says, listen to your wife, communication is best. Another says, we're good.
Okay. So, thank you. So what happens when a woman withholds sex from her husband? What happens to the husband? And all this is part of research that I have done. I'm not just telling this from my personal experience. I'm talking about research that has been done, and I'm sharing it with you. So this is what it said happens when a woman withholds sex from her husband. One, there's frustration. Frustration in the man. He gets frustrated. He even gets angry. His frustration leads to anger, because there's all this intense build-up in him and not being able to release it. So he's frustrated. Secondly, his self-esteem is eroded, because you're a man, you're a big man, and especially if you hear any other men in the office talking, or you know, I mean, and how much time and all these things, and you go home and nothing, your self-esteem goes down. You start to think that you don't love him. He may even become resentful. He may start to resent you, because this is in his mind, and is correct, rightfully his. He has authority over your body, and yet you are exercising that authority over your body, and he's not able to do that. Some men even turn now to pornography and to masturbation. That's why a lot of men start to masturbate, because if she's not giving it to me, then I have to do it for myself. I have to take matters into my own hand, literally. And what is even, well, I was going to say even worse, but just as bad, is that it can lead to unfaithfulness. Because here it is, a man, you're married. You are married, and sex is supposed to be a part of marriage, and yet it's absent. And some men, and listen, I'm saying men, because it happens even with Christian men. So don't think that Christian men are immune to these things, and we love God and we will never do this and we will never do that. And that's why a lot of men get themselves into trouble. And that's why some women think, well, my husband, he's faithful, he loved the Lord, and he will never do this, he will never turn to porn, he will never masturbate, he will never be unfaithful, and they're in for a shock. Men are men, God has made us with that drive for sexual intercourse. And you have to understand, ladies, that this is what happens when you withhold sex. You know, withholding sex is like in a marriage. It's like you're hungry, there's food on the table, and you're going to eat, and you hear, no, you can't eat that. It's right there. It's looking good, it's smelling good, but you can't eat the food. Or you're thirsty, and you have water maybe in the fridge. You're going to take water and you look, there's a lock on the fridge, you can't. But you know there's water in the fridge, and it's your fridge. You purchased it. And that's how men feel when sex is withheld from them. You get frustrated, you get upset, you get angry. It takes you into a place where you don't want to be. And it may lead you to a place where you don't want to go. And I'm saying that some women would understand. Because for a woman may not desire sex. So she may feel like having sex, but okay, nah, not today. But for a man, one that urge comes, it is hard to just dismiss it. It is easier, and I'm speaking not from experience because I'm not a woman, but it is easier for a woman to dismiss that feeling that she has than for a man. And woman, if it's not so, tell me, because this is what I have learned and what what I understand. So if I'm wrong, I want the ladies to tell me. But from what I have seen and understand, it is much easier for a woman who gets worked up and all of that, and her husband for some reason is unable to or says no for whatever reason, and we'll come to that. It is easier for her to deal with that than for a man. And as I said, ladies, if that is not so, please tell me. But it frustrates a man when with all this built up emotion and tension, and you see, because he wants to release. And when you when you don't release things like a pressure cooker, you can explode. So, and that is why masturbation, porn, unfaithfulness, that's why these things happen. And I'm trying to be real here. I'm not, because I don't want us to think because I'm a man, I'm a Christian, it ain't gonna happen to me. Or because my husband is a Christian, we good. No matter what, he will not do that. And I'm saying to you, you're in for a surprise if that's the way you're thinking. Come on, ladies, talk to me.
Hand up, Dr. Richard. But we have some comments.
Yes.
We have some comments in the chat. One said, we, meaning women, get upset too.
Understand?
Sometimes you feel the same. Another says, I think it's easier for a woman to dismiss. I don't know how.
That's what I'm saying.
As I'm just saying is, I don't know how they do that measurement to know it's easier for the woman than the man. But I'll move on because we have Deborah, hand is up, and Elder Sherry.
Well, let me just say, in terms of measurement, now all these things they've done research on it, but even some men will tell you it's easier. You see your wife, and for whatever reason, she's worked up, she's ready, something happened. It's easier for her to deal with. A man will whole night and he's angry on his wife. A woman would not go through all that, at least most times. So that's why it's easier for a woman. However you all deal with it, and that's what I wish you all would tell me. What do you all do? How do you all handle things like that? But you said someone's hand is up, so go ahead. Can they unmute? Make sure they can unmute, please.
Well, I couldn't unmute yet, sorry. Good night. Good night.
Aye.
Professor, that has been the most frustrating thing for a woman. Yes, it's frustrating. It's not it is not easy and simple, as you're letting us, it's trying to let us understand. It's not, because some will say that I'm unlike a man, she have nothing to rise, right? She just have to lay there and receive now, right? But that is no. That is really, really frustrating. It is heartbreaking. It is hurtful. Yeah, and the sad thing about it, sometimes when he reject her, turn out his bad, because men do the same thing as women too. Sometimes she don't want to, but she lies right there next to him and she masturbates because she's all worked up. You understand? And she's masturbating silently to him. And she feel, oh, she may feel guilty after, because I'm a married wife, a married woman, and husband not giving it up. So it's real frustration. It's very, very frustrating. Right?
Okay.
And I had a question before. I just returned from home too now. So I was thinking, right? If I jump in, again, tell me I jump in, right? So after, we know all this from last week to now, the reason why women, does, deny the husband sex and them kind of thing, right? I listen to what you're saying, right? I listen, right? But what do you think we should do after all this emotion and all these things, right? What do you think we should do? If I ask you the question, do you think we are wrong or right? You might say no, 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 no. you know, But after all this, Professor, right? And I'm listening to you now. So what's she supposed to do? Just lie down and you put a 25 cents like in a machine and you wind she up and you just take it and go. Men don't like that. They don't like that. But what is she supposed to do?
Right. Okay. So, in fact, we'll come back to that in a minute. We had another hand.
Good evening, Kingdom Citizen family. Dr. Richards, I don't really have a point to make on that, really.
No problem.
But I just had a question based on something I know. Should sex be scheduled? Or is that a right thing to schedule sex as a husband and wife? Because I know of a couple where the wife had a schedule and it was 1 day a week on a particular day at between a certain time. And when if he missed that is until next week. I mean, at that time I wasn't married, but I found that I was like, what? As a matter of fact, I thought that was something that was common around, But I felt no, this. So I'm just asking that because it just came to me as you were speaking, if that is something, if that is the same as withholding from a man, and especially if he agreed to it.
Okay, all right. So let's deal with the two things. The first one is, what should a woman do? I would want to find out, what do women do, in situations like that. That says, and this is something that we were going to talk about. Let me just see 1 second here. Right. The question I was going to ask, as a matter of fact, after this is lack of sex in a marriage a red flag? Right? Is it a red flag if there's lack of sex in a marriage? So we'll get to that in a minute. But what should a woman do? Communication is important. You must communicate to your husband how it makes you feel, and same vice versa. You have to communicate to your partner, this is not working. When you do that, this is what I go through. This is what I experience. This is how it affects me. Because believe it or not, sometimes you don't realize that it's affecting you think of it in your own self, how it would affect you, but you don't realize that it affects the other person, maybe in a bigger way, a more devastating way. Communication is important. Talk to him, talk to her, let her know, let him know. If after communicating it still happens, that's when you need an intervention. That's when you need that third party. Because we feel that anything to do with sex is just between both of us and nobody else should know. But if it is not working, whatever aspect of your marriage is not working, it's like you have a car and something happened, you learn to deal with certain little things. But sometimes something happens and you don't know what's wrong. You try to fix it yourself, or you've been fixing it this way, but you try the same thing you tried last time and it didn't work. You got to take it to the mechanic. You have to take it to someone who's a specialist. So if it is communication is not working, you try to communicate and the person's not receiving it, or you try to communicate and it works for a little while and then it goes back, then it may be there's a deeper rooted problem. But you have to talk. You don't just turn your back and go to sleep and whatever. You need to talk. Communication is so key in a relationship because we have two different individuals with different feelings, different experiences. And I have to let you know what is going on inside of me, in my mind, in my heart, in my body. And the same thing, you have to let me know what is going on with you. I could do something and it's affecting you and I don't even know. So you gotta talk. You gotta talk. All right? That's my suggestion in terms of what do you do in a case like that. And that's for both parties, not just one. Communication. You have to tell the person how it affects you and how it is affecting the relationship, how it makes you feel, and what can we do about it? How can we solve this? It's important. And not, you see, this is what you're doing, and you got to fix this, and you got, no. How can we? Let us, it's an us problem. I may be experiencing it, but the problem is our problem because we are one, we are a couple, we are married. And anything that affects you affects me. Anything that affects me should affect you as well. So talk. Talking is, this is my wife and I, we talk a lot, You could ask Prophetess. We talk and talk about everything and anything. We talk and talk and talk. We got to know each other through talking and we continue to talk. Communication is important. Doc. In any relationship, but especially in marriage. Someone is saying something.
Yes, Doc. There's a question for you in the chat. What about if neither party wants to hear?
Well, that's why I said that's when you need an intervention. That's when you need a third party. And very often, in terms of counseling, the woman is more willing to go than the man. I don't know why men feel they don't need counseling. I have said oftentimes, maybe we should change that word. Because whenever a man hears counseling, it makes him feel less than. It makes him feel that something is wrong with me, and no, you're saying something is wrong with me, but nothing is wrong with me. And that's how a man usually responds or to say reacts to counseling. But you need an intervention. There's a problem, there's an issue, and if between both of you, it cannot be solved, then you need to take it outside. You talk about it, you pray about it, you go to God. God, this is the problem. You may have to go to God and say, Lord, my husband wants to do this, but I don't want to do it. What do I do, Lord? It's important. And remember this covenant that you made is before God. So he's the one you have to go back to him and ask him. And he has given people like counselors, some pastors and some people, the ability to deal with issues, to fix the problem. So you go to the mechanic and you tell her, listen, there's an electrical problem. Yes, send it by the electrician. But communication is the key. You gotta talk. Communication with God, communication with your partner. That's important.
Doc. One comment says, I told my husband we need a third party. My husband told me he doesn't have a problem with a sad face. Another asks the question, could it be pride? Another says, what about when the man wants it, but the woman don't? So the man wants it, the woman don't. And finally...
And that's what we're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
And finally, another question is, Dr. Richards, do you think no sex in a marriage is okay if neither wants to do it?
Okay, let me start with that one. I asked the question, is lack of sex in a marriage a red flag? And it is. All right, but if two people in a marriage, they don't want sex, it could be either a signal of a problem or an let me back. It could be a signal of a problem in the marriage itself with both of them. They're not attracted to one another. And for all the reasons we talked about just now, maybe the woman doesn't want to have sex with him because of his hygiene or whatever it is. And she doesn't want to, and he doesn't want to have sex with her for whatever reason. And we will come to that, why men would withhold sex as well. If it's mutually, if it's a mutual thing, I am saying even then, it could be an issue or indicative of a bigger problem. Because this thing is supposed to be a part of marriage. If it is, some people come to that stage in life, maybe menopause and andropause, when sex is no longer a big thing. Sex is no longer, we living with each other, we love one another, we have a good time, we enjoy each other's company, that's fine. But if you are two young people who are still capable of having good sex, let me put it that way, and you don't desire your partner, I say something is wrong. I say an intervention is needed. I am saying that there's something anymore to be beside the person, as we are saying. Something. And I think that problem will manifest itself in other ways as well. You may find that they may not even want to spend time together. They may not talk so much together. So it's not just the sex. I think it's indicative of something bigger. And I think at that time, you need an intervention. But the issue with that is if both people are satisfied, they may not want to seek an intervention. They may not want to do anything because they're satisfied. But I'm saying to you, if in your marriage, you are young and vibrant and everything is okay, and you do not have desire to have sex with your partner, then you should check that out. And your partner doesn't desire to have sex with you, you should check that out as well, both of you. And we need to talk about these things some more, as I said. We need to talk. We need to come out. And I think one of the reasons why people don't talk is because of confidentiality. They're afraid of whatever they want to discuss, whatever they're saying is not confidential. One of the things we do when we are counseling, we tell people from the get-go, our commitment to you is that what we discuss here goes no further than between Prophetess and myself. We give that assurance. But many people, they've been hurt and they've been burned and they don't want to go down that road because they don't want their problems, in the streets. What else? There's something else. Oh, the scheduling of sex. And my personal opinion is that there's something wrong with that. Sex is something to be enjoyed. Sex is supposed to be spontaneous at times, unplanned. It's an expression of your love for the other person, for your love for each other. How could you legislate that? How could you put that on a calendar? How could you do that? Do you really enjoy it when you do that? If it is that you having sex once a month or whatever, and you schedule it, it's like saying, I would only eat on Sundays, or I only drink water on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Does that make sense? Your body needs nourishment and refreshment. You as a person in the marriage need sex. That's the way God designed it. And for you to tell me, well, listen, every second Tuesday at 5 o'clock or something like that, something has to be terribly wrong with that. And anybody agreeing to that, I think they would be agreeing to it under duress. And one of the things, I think I've said it here before and I'll say it again, I have a peeve when I hear things like, I give him sex. I give him sex. So you want sex? Well, check me out Tuesday or Friday. All right, because I have nothing to do with Friday between 5 and 6, so check me at that time. I'll give you the sex then. Sex is not something you give somebody. Sex is something that you have with your spouse. You enjoy with your spouse. It is not one giving it to the other one giving it and the other one saying, okay, thank you, I'm grateful. When we understand what God did when he made sex, we would want to enjoy it. I heard somebody say some time ago, this is the most beautiful thing that God has ever given to the human race. A person said that, and it was a female. She said, sex is beautiful. It's wonderful. Why is it then, if something is so beautiful and wonderful, that we want to legislate it, that we want to schedule it? One of the best type of sex is spontaneous sex. And there are different things that people talk about spontaneous sex. You talk about makeup sex. You talk about different types of that people enjoy because of who they are and their relationship. But scheduled sex, I don't know. And maybe some of you here, because you're not, I'm only hearing one or two talking, but some of you are married. How would you feel if your husband or your wife says, we have to start scheduling our sex? Now, I could understand if two people are really very busy and, sometimes what people do is that we are married, yeah, we live together, but because of our schedule, here what? Every Friday we will meet down by this place, rent a little room, and both of us, and it's part of the excitement. That kind of schedule, I don't have a problem with. That kind of thing, because it is adding to the excitement of your marriage. But it shouldn't be the only thing. It shouldn't be the only time that you have intercourse or intimacy with one another. But if you want to schedule things like once a month, we will, go here or go there and that sort of thing. Yeah, why not? So I'm really wanting to hear from some of you ladies regards to the scheduling. What do you think? If your husband comes to you and say, listen, we want to schedule, because I tell you something, for some men, that might be the only time. For some men, it might be the only time. And a woman might say, well, if we schedule it for, let's say, Monday at 5 p.m., well, at least, he could take a shower and organize himself because he knows what's going to happen at that time. Maybe. But I think it's still a travesty that has to happen. But I want to hear from you. Ladies, come on, talk to me, man. Talk to me. You're only making me sound like I'm an expert, and I'm not. I want to hear from you all. No ladies, no men? We have any men on tonight?
Dr. Richards, we have a comment. I will say no because I like to be creative. Another says no scheduling. And yes, Dr. Richards, we have men on tonight, a few of them well.
Okay. All right. Men are silent. The women are silent too, I suppose, but I really would like to hear from you guys. Let's talk about this thing. We don't talk about it enough. And I really would like to hear from you. I may be saying something that may not necessarily be so. I want you to challenge me because I have done this thing. The information I'm giving you is through research that I have done. So you tell me. And you see, again, when we don't talk about things, we go away. If you come and you go away with what you came with, you know better. You know better for it. But if you have questions, you have concerns, you learn something. And then when you speak as well, somebody would learn something from you. So let's hear you.
Nicole, hand is up.
Nikki.
Good night, everybody. Dr.
Night.
Richards, for me, scheduling. If you're scheduling me, let's say Thursday night, then what are we doing Monday, Tuesday? Or are you with me? That's a red flag. Are you with me? Or do you have me in your mind for those other nights? Or is it that you're going to be in inverted commas at a meeting on those other nights with another schedule that you have set up? So it will put doubt in my mind, one. And two, it may make me think that, all right, so you doing this just because we have to do it. It's not because we really want to, but because you think we have to have sex. Okay, so on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, we'll have sex. So for me, scheduling is a red flag. I would not agree to it. And I would want to know, okay, so what are you doing on those other nights? Now, if we say scheduling and we say, okay, Monday night we'll go to dinner, Tuesday night we'll probably watch a movie. I mean, it may turn out to something else, but just to say one night for sex, that's a no for me, personally.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hear you. And just, it creates doubt in the mind. What is going on the other times? I hear you. Anyone else?
Yes, Dr. Richards, we have Debbie. Debbie, her hand was up, but
Sister Debbie?
she must have dropped. Okay. Yo, right here. Right here. Right here.
She's right here.
Yes, I was rubbing my head. Professor, what are your take on, okay, so we are married couple and stuff, right? And we having issues in the bedroom, husband, erection and all these problems. What are your thoughts in if we decide to use toys in hands, toys, buy toys, use toys on each other, or is it okay? Is it okay if we agree, right, that we can masturbate in front of each other and don't have sex? It have situation where when the man was younger, he will do that, he'll do that often, very often. Now that he have a woman and everything, it's hard for him, to come to that satisfaction unless, he masturbate them. So we're talking about communication. So if he communicates his wife and they agree, do you see anything wrong if both of them decide to, masturbate with each other, for their fulfillment?
Now, this is a question that different people have different opinions on in terms of use of sex toys. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you all would have seen the news lately where this carnival band is giving out sex toys to the masqueraders. The danger in using sex toys is that you're bringing in a third element. It's you, your spouse, and the toys now. All right? And when you bring in a third element, you are actually saying, well, look, we can't satisfy one another, so we need help. And we need help, and we turn into these man-made devices to help us. Okay? Now, if it is a situation where there is something like, as you mentioned, erectile dysfunction in men, and they are unable to do it. There are things that you can do, and people don't explore enough. There are things that can be done that are available for men. In this country, we have the Diabetes Association, something like that, and they have a lot of information on it that you don't necessarily have to go and use any toys, and I say toys, because there are things that you can use that will not be deemed as toys that will assist the gentleman or the man. I don't know about women, I don't know what they have for women, but I know for men in particular, they do have these things. When we do that, whether there's ED or not, we become dependent on that. It means I cannot satisfy you and you cannot satisfy me. And that's a challenge in it. It means now that we are able to satisfy one another unless we bring in this third element of toys. And Christians, as I said, people differ on that. My take on it, my personal opinion is stay away from those things. Stay away. And I'm glad you mentioned, one of the things you mentioned, Sister Debbie, is young men who would have masturbated before they got married. I pound this into my boys' head all the time. I say to them, if you choose to go and masturbate now, there's some woman out there who in a few years to come, when you get married to her, you will not be able to satisfy her. I tell them that. Because when you masturbate, what you do, you are satisfying yourself. You know what to do, how to do, how fast, how slow, when to hold back, all these things. And I'm telling you like it is, huh? You know what to do. You satisfy yourself when you are masturbating. You get personal enjoyment. What you should be doing is preparing to satisfy someone in the future, your wife. But when you get accustomed to satisfying yourself, I want to tell you, no woman will be able to satisfy you. And I want to say it again so that men would understand. When you are used to satisfying yourself, no woman will be able to satisfy you because you know exactly what to do. A woman will not be able to do that. And you will, a lot of men cannot have, they don't enjoy sex unless they masturbate. They could be having sex with their wife and they have to stop and masturbate. And that, most times, I would want to say 100% of the time, is because they are accustomed masturbating before. There could be other reasons that I don't know of, but that's the only one I could think of. So when we get to that place where we are accustomed satisfying ourselves, we know how it feels. What happens when we get married? It goes downhill. It's like people who take drugs. When you take a certain drug now, after a while, it doesn't satisfy you. You want to go on to something else, and something else, and something else, because you don't get the same satisfaction. So you're searching for that first feeling of ecstasy where you got with the drug. It's the same thing with the men. You're searching for that feeling of satisfaction that you got when you were doing it yourself. And somehow your wife is not able to take it to that place. And there's problems in the marriage after that. Yes?
Dr. Joseph, we have some comments in the chat. We have Elder Sherry hand this up as well. I'll read the comments. And one says that's the answer right there. Couple say correct, and then one says true. Another says, and so it is with women and their toys. And someone said exactly, always looking for that high. Dr. Richards, I just want to say something here quickly. One of the things that people don't understand, when you begin to masturbate, Dr. Richards, a lot of people are single right now and finding they can't find a man, they can't find a woman. But what they don't understand, Dr. Richards, is when you begin to masturbate, this is not just about trying to please your body. This is about opening a door where you are now owned by a demonic spirit. When you masturbate, Dr. Richards, that demon comes and he seals your vagina and calls it his own. Seals your penis and calls it its own. So whenever now there's an opportunity for you to meet a man or for you to meet a woman, that spirit comes in between. And you find, here's what they say. You can't find a good man these days, or you can't find a good woman these days. But what they don't realize is their masturbation has caused them now to be married to a demonic spirit. So no matter how hard they try to meet somebody, the relationship never lasts. Because that demon says, listen, your vagina belongs to me. Your penis belongs to me. I don't want you to be with a human body. You have to be with me. And every single time they ejaculate, Dr. Richards, every single time a woman ejaculates, every single time a man masturbates and that sperm comes out, what they do is they strengthen that demon a little stronger and more demon comes in. And that's why it's so hard to break. And then these people walk around feeling so sad and lonely. I can't find a man, I can't find a man, I can't find a woman. No, what you did is you got yourself married to a demonic spirit by touching yourself. And if they were to think about it, Dr. Richard, and I'm going to teach that just before we go into the fast. If they would think about it, when you're lying down fondling yourself, what do you think is pleasing you? It's a demon telling you how to touch you, where to touch. I know of a woman who is married and she says her husband will never ever have ejaculating her anymore. And she met him always looking at porn. And then he invited her to watch porn. She said she doesn't like it. We're talking about Christian people. And she said whenever they have sex, he will get soft in her and then go to the bathroom and stay there for a very long time. And she always used to ask him if he's okay. He said no, his belly hurts him. And one day he didn't lock the door. And she said she saw him. So every time they were having sex, he have to go back and break. Why? Because that spirit is calling you and saying your penis belongs to me. Give me your sperms. And this is what they don't understand. And Dr. Richards, it's a serious thing. People need to run from that because your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. God is not the one telling you to touch yourself like that. And this is the thing that people don't know. So many people, and I'm saying this to you, brothers and sisters, and you know yourself. If you have been struggling to get a woman in your life or a man in your life, check yourself and see if you've been masturbating. You got to break and divorce that spirit, break that soul tie. Elder Sherry?
Prophetess, I think if you kind of go in a place there with what I was going to ask, because I was wondering sometimes, we are seeing so many men more and more having erectile dysfunction, and I was wondering if that could have been a contributor to that as well. The constant masturbation could, have done something, and that is why they may not be able to function as they should with their spouses. Yeah. So
Correct,
and
Elder
just
Sherry.
listen.
That's correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
And that's why the Lord needs us to preserve our temple. And not because the Lord felt to say that, He knows exactly why, because He knows what these demonic spirits can do. And people are lonely at home. They're lonely at home, not realizing that you are married to a demonic spirit. He wouldn't leave you until you break that soul tie. And that's the thing. Some men can't even get erected. They're so accustomed to having sex with their hands, and women the same thing, having sex with their hands, so that so much when the man enters into the woman, he will be aroused. But from the moment he goes into her, he gets soft because the vagina no longer pleases them the way the hand does. And that's a sad reality. And people don't talk about these things, but we will talk about it, Dr. Richards. We will address it. So if you find to yourself you're not getting somebody in your life, check yourself. Because it means that there's a spirit that is attached to you sexually, and he is saying your private parts belong to me. Doc?
Yeah, and that's why, as I told you, it's like a broken record, but I keep saying it. If you masturbate, there's somebody out there who you will be depriving. When you get married to them, you'll be depriving them of a good sexual life and a sexual experience because of your selfishness. Masturbation is selfishness. It's self-inflicted, what should I say? Well, not inflicted. Gratification is self-gratification. So the focus is on you only. And so even with the sex toys, especially for women, they have these dildos and what's the other one? And they do this because they want to pleasure themselves. Pleasure is supposed to be mutual. You pleasure the woman, woman pleasures the man. That's how God designed it. God made a woman for Adam. He didn't say, Adam, okay, I'll leave you by yourself, so, fix up. You have to understand that God made male and female, and he made them to come together. So that's why even homosexuality is so, an abomination to God, because God didn't make male to go with male. So we need to understand that. So when there are things that we do in the bedroom that invites demonic spirit, as Pastor Nicole says. There are things that we do, and I'm not even just talking about masturbation, but even in marriage, when we want to go and try all sorts of things because we hear about this and we read about that and we want to do this and bring this and use it, or use this special thing to rub on your body, and all these things that you do. You don't know where it came from, you don't know what the source is, but you just heard people talking about it and you want to go and try it. Because when I do that, when I take that thing, when I swallow that tablet, and I could have go whole night and all these kind of things you hear. So you want to go and try it too. And sometimes what we end up doing is abusing our partner. It is abuse. I see we are almost out of time. Any more questions or comments?
Yes, Dr. Richards, we have a comment in the chat. This is true because my ex-husband was very abusive to me during sex.
Mm-hmm. There are some men who believe to have sex, you have to be rough. You have to be rough. You have to be. Let me ask you this question: can a man rape his wife? Do you think a man can rape his wife? What do you think? This will be the last thing we're asking for the night. We'll have to continue next time. Can a man rape his wife?
Dr. Richards, Joshua hand is up, and also the comments, the comments that went so far in the chat have been saying yes, yes, yes. One said I say yes all the way. One says yes for sure. One she does not consent to it. Minister Joshua.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Richards. I personally say that I agree. There was even a situation that I thought of as I said that, but I'm not sure if people are familiar with Lorena Bobbitt. Right, that story that kind of brought it back to my recollection. So something like that already happened. So I personally think that yes, it is possible because a lot of people think that, well, because you're married, that you're entitled to sex at any point in time, even if the other partner is unwilling, right? Because they think that it's something that you're entitled to. But if there's no consent, even if you're in a relationship, even if you're married, I think that once there's no consent, yes, you can rape your spouse.
Thank you. And that's what rape is, having sexual intercourse without the person's consent. So it doesn't matter whether it's in marriage or out of marriage. You can rape your wife. If she says no, it's no. And if she says no, I'm not saying, well, that's no, and that's the end of it. That's when communication is supposed to take place. That's when, why are you saying no to me? How come you don't want to have sex with me? Why, what is wrong? And you may find that when you talk it out, brother, when you're done and you sort it out, you might be telling her, hold up, hold up, I can't take no more. But you see, we need to understand communication is key. Communication. And we cannot, as men, feel that we're entitled to this thing and under any condition we are entitled to it. And we have a certificate that says that you have to have sex with me. No, that's not what the certificate says. What does God say? All right? So, we have to stop here for tonight. There's a whole lot more that we need to discuss, we need to talk about. I'm concerned. So we will continue at another time. But I want to encourage you to be open. Let's talk. Let us talk. We really do not talk about this enough. And some of you would have had experiences in your own life, in your own marriage. That, if you share, others will benefit. And you don't have to say, well, and this happened to me, and I did. You just share. It could be somebody who told you something and you're sharing with us. But if you keep it there, then others will not be able to benefit. Okay, so I really want to encourage you. Let's talk about it. Let's get rid of this thing that sex is taboo. Sex is happening all the time. The animals is happening. Dogs happen in front of us. They don't care. We're free to talk about it. All right, so thank you so much for listening and for partaking and being a part of what we're talking about. We will continue because I feel very strongly that this is something that we need to even delve in a little deeper and talk some more about, because too many of us are hurting and too many of us are doing the wrong thing. And too many of us, the experiences we have, we need to do something about it. So God bless you. I'm handing back over to Minister Joshua at this time. Well, wonderful night, people.